Hi, I'm Charles. I own Kaleidoscope Rock Academy and Kaleidoscope School of Music here in the Seattle area. I am primarily a guitar teacher. I also run rock band classes, and I've taught over 60,000 private lessons. I include my email address in a lot of these videos, so you can contact me with questions about the content. This is video number 3 in a series I've been doing about music notation for guitarists in particular. And you can check out the other 2 links in the description below. But the overarching theme of the series is that cabs should not be the only way that you approach music notation or utilize your music notation as a guitarist. It really, you should be looking at what is the right tool for the job. So last time we looked at cab in depth. In the first video, we looked at kind of an overview of 7 or 8 options for writing things down for a guitarist. But this video looks at what I call chords and lyrics. So along with the theme of using the right tool for the job, I'm trying to give people tips on how to get more out of each form of notation. This is a great example because chords and lyrics usually starts with an internet search. There's just tons of free content out there for, I would say, probably a majority of rock and pop songs. There's some sort of chords and lyrics notation available just by searching on Google. But a lot of times that only gets you part of the way there, so I'm trying to give you some strategies on how to get more out of that free content and empower you to edit and make some alterations to that content to make it more useful. So as we've said in prior videos, number 1, I really believe in printing stuff out. So you want to be able to edit any content that you get for free. A lot of the stuff is great. It's uploaded by amateurs all around the world. I'm thankful every day as a private lesson teacher for the effort that people put into creating and uploading this content, taking their time to transcribe songs. But the content varies widely in quality and usability. Sometimes just because it's not what you personally need, a lot of times because it's not that accurate. But I would say more times than not, when I go during a lesson to get chords and lyrics for that type of student, it's better than starting from scratch. So I usually print stuff out so that I can edit it, add notes to it, and then make it better for the student. And you can do the same thing for yourself. So I've got some principles. The first thing that you notice when you look up a song by typing the song name in the Google search bar and then putting chords and lyrics after it is you'll get chord names. Sometimes you'll get a tuning, a capo position, but you don't generally get any sort of right-hand notation. Occasionally there'll be a summary strum or a summary picking pattern at the top of the chart online, but sometimes there's not even that. So you're like, what do I do with my right hand? That can be problematic. So the assumption is that you can just from knowing the song, you can look at the chords, you look at the lyrics, and you can come up with something. But you probably want to have an arsenal of right-hand patterns that work for you for different time signatures. So one question you can ask when you download a song is, what time signature is this in? Is it in 4/4 or 3/4, being the first and most popular 2 options? How fast is it? That's another issue. So if something is in a kind of middle of the road 4/4 strumming type thing, a lot of songs will use this type of pattern, probably the most popular right-hand pattern in history. Take It Easy by the Eagles. If something is in a shuffle feel, what I mean by that is it has an uneven feel, like a lot of times something like that won't be notated on a chords or lyrics page at all. Things can be in 3/4. They also can use picking patterns like where you're either using a pick and fingers or just fingers. But I'm just pointing out right now that you're going to want to think about and make decisions about what your right-hand approach to the song might be. And feel free, once you print it out, you can write that down on the chords lyrics page. It also could vary by section, so a lot of times there's parts of songs that just have what Some people call diamonds, so whole notes like Interlude of Centuries by Fall Out Boy does that. After doing a whole bunch of different strums in that song. That's actually a really great song example because every part of the song has a different strum. So you've got like the haze part of that song where the band kicks in. It's like kind of a eighth note downstroke approach, and then the verse kind of feels more like a staccato chord note. And then there's parts of the song like Interlude where it's just like so you can feel free to write all those symbols next to parts of the song. Another thing to look out for is sometimes the way the syllables of the lyrics align to the chords lines up great. Other times it doesn't. So if you've got some handy whiteout, once you've printed the song out, you can move chord symbols around a little bit to more accurately line up with different syllables, which may help you to perform the song better. When is it the right tool to use a chords lyrics page? Probably first and foremost when you're trying to sing and accompany yourself. So when the lyrics are valuable to you because you're a singer. When you feel confident with your right hand and or you feel like the song has a pretty straightforward right hand pattern. It's not as good of a choice to use a chords lyrics page when you've got a song that's got a whole bunch of riffs. More of a heavy rock song or something, because those riffs are not going to appear in that format. Something that's also got a lot of like guitar melodies, again, not going to be the easiest thing to do, or a really ornate folk song where you've got a lot of embellishments to chords, maybe some melodies in between the chords. Something like that may be better to render with tab or scaff notation. Let's look at some examples of how I have actually edited these things for students, because I think that will help show what I mean when I'm trying to empower you to use various strategies to like make chords and lyrics content better. So this one's Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Most of these come from either camps I've run for students in summer or just private lessons. So this one I printed out the lyrics. This one actually was just a lyrics file, so for whatever reason when I went looking for it, there weren't any chords above the lyrics at all. So I figured what they were by ear and just wrote them in for the student. My philosophy is always to try to get the chords really close to the appropriate syllable. I also use these markings on the side, V for verse, PC for pre-chorus, to kind of give a structure to the song, so it's not just a bunch of lyrics after lyrics. It also notice upper left-hand corner capo 5. Wrote the intro down before the lyrics start. That's the other thing that's sometimes missing in chords and lyrics is intros and instrumental portions. So that's kind of how I handled that one for that student. This one was actually a ukulele student, but the principles are the same as guitar. So they wanted to learn how to play Dream a Little Dream of Me by the Mamas and Papas, 60s song. And this is example one where I think it's kind of a trickier song with some more interesting kind of choices. And I definitely disagreed with some of the original work of the uploader. So you can see here where I wrote some extra chords in, like G sharp 7 in the first line. Ignore the chord symbols because those are for ukulele. I corrected like the G augmented G plus chord in the fourth line to a G sharp 7 again. Adding some extra chord changes like the G sharp 7, G7, C that are all real close together before the bridge. And you know, when you print it, you also can add all those chord frames on the right side. I know these are for ukulele, but like if there's any chords you're unfamiliar with, you have now a scratch pad to write them out. So again, another reason to print. Third example. This is actually Centuries, which I talked about earlier. This is the version first here that I used for a rock camp I did for younger students. So I started actually in creating this file. I did not start from scratch. I actually did start with a downloaded chords lyrics file. I pulled it into Word so that I could edit it more. I colored all the chord changes a dark blue color to make them easier to spot from the lyrics. But I added some really interesting things to make it more usable, like the spoken sample from Suzanne Vega from the beginning, the speed of the song, 90 beats per minute. The sections of the songs are highlighted in yellow. So this is a situation where I didn't edit it just on paper. I actually edited it in Word, Microsoft Word, on my computer because I knew I'd be using it over and over again, and I wanted it to be super awesome. I also wrote on the right side of this one a whole bunch of additional performance notes, like a little piano part for the pianist in the camp, some ideas of what the strums would be for different parts or the different registers the guitar could play in. So all of that stuff is, some of that stuff's more band oriented, like where it says snare drum, but definitely a way more useful version of it than what I started with. But again, downloading it saved me a lot of time, a lot of typing, and what I added didn't massively change it, but it did make it way more useful to both a guitarist and to a band. Got one more right here. So this one is a song I'd never heard before, but a student brought it into a lesson. It's by Cher. It's called Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. We'll zoom in on this here. I thought this one was interesting because this is clearly one where the student was struggling based on what they found online to actually perform it. The person who uploaded did try to throw some helpful things in there, like repeat signs. They use kind of these typewriter symbols for the repeat signs in the first section there. This is page 2. Well, it says page 2, but it says intro. I don't know. There was some clarifications I needed to make for the student there. I decided that going from A minor to E was a lot easier to understand than the A minor add 9 to A minor over E that was originally there. And I also added the what I call my famous feat with students. There's a lot of tricky timing stuff in here, so just to make sure they understood how long each unit of chord was, I drew these little feet in to represent the beats. And then that helped because then when we got down to Papa Would Do What, I realized this song was kind of tricky. It has some bars of time signature changes, so it changed to 3/4 in that line, so I was able to show that like the C chord it had 2 beats, the E minor chord had 1 beat. And then I notated, the 3/4 that showed up again at the F6 chord. There also were some chords here the student wasn't familiar with, so again I used the blank space on the printed page to draw those out for them. The F6, the F major 7. And I also used a few, it's kind of interesting. I've got the feet in there, and the feet represent beats. But then looking at the chorus, I also wrote slashes, which represent strums a lot of times in simplified notation in chord charts. So I was trying to show them that it could strum the F major 7 for a chord, C major 7 for a chord. So adding strum marks is another thing you can add when you print something like this. If the strum is the same for the whole song, you probably just write it at the top like we mentioned earlier. But when the strum is like, it's kind of like when the chords are changing a lot or the strum is changing a lot, you might write it in throughout the song. This song was definitely a challenge for them to put together. You kind of can see why. The only other thing I'd mention is that on songs that are simpler than this Cher one, but where the chords do vary in length, there have been times that I've established kind of a unofficial protocol in editing a song where a chord symbol like A minor represents a certain unit. Usually it's a bar or half a bar. And then when that unit is cut in half, I'll use a dash. So if I have A minor, E, C, G, 4-chord progression, I just use the symbols A minor, just like that. But then if there's a part in the song where 2 of the chords are in the same bar, I'll write like F-C, and that represents kind of unofficially that those 2 chords share a unit, which in this case is a bar. You also can write, like I did in the Cher song, you could write vertical bar lines. They look a little awkward when they're stuck in the middle of all this lyric content, but if you use different colored pens like I did in this one, that can help a lot to get more information in without destroying your eyeballs. And writing those bar lines can really be helpful in understanding how the lyrics and the chord changes fit together. One thing that's kind of interesting about chord lyric pages is they're definitely, like, structurally they are lyric biased. So some songs where the lyrics are always anticipatory, like the lyrics kind of start a phrase and then the last syllable of the musical phrase is actually the one that aligns with the chord change, that can make the structure of these things look kind of unmusical on paper. So there's this kind of war going on between the structure of the lyrics and how they're organized, and then the more typical structure that you think about when you're playing guitar. And that sometimes is a tough thing to marry together. I've had some more advanced like folk singer-songwriter students where they'll have a chords lyrics page on the left, they'll have a proper chord chart on the right, and that's actually how they organize their music in their like performance book, is, you know, two facing pages, each with its own kind of perspective on the song, because they found it was just too hard to actually marry them together. I'm still trying to marry them together. When you look at something like this Cher song, I'm trying to figure out how to get it all into one page. But yeah, there's a little bit of this tension. Like you can see right here with verse 1 on this Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves song that like I was, those two phrases are actually, or those two syllables are anticipatory, and born is the syllable that aligns with the beginning of the musical unit, which is the bar of strumming that starts with A minor. So a lot of times you have to kind of be aware, are the lyrics kind of starting before the actual musical unit? Or in the case of like a song like All the Small Things by Blink-182, the chord changes always happen first, and then the lyrics are actually kind of reactive. They start in beat 2. So that's one of the things that using these vertical bar lines can kind of help with, is it can get you aware of that as you're looking at scanning your chords lyrics page. So I hope all those tips make you feel a little more empowered to use this free information in a way that's going to actually help you play songs more accurately. Again, you know, I believe in having your printouts, your whiteout, a bunch of colored pens and highlighters so that you can really make whatever you do easier to look at while actually practicing and performing. Stay tuned for, or look ahead for, look out for, there we go. Look out for music notation, the next unit, because I will be taking a further look at the next notation and making another video. And that one, according to my amazing master list here of the Remarkable tablet, is going to be looking at more traditional chord charting. So kind of what producers, music schools, big bands, so forth use. So that video is coming soon, and thank you for checking this one out. You know, feel free to email me with any questions, clarifications you want, and please subscribe to the channel. Thanks.